Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome. It's your boy, Rico no Suave, here on the 1-2-1-2, ready to go. Man, we're back for another prime time video and live for you guys. Oh, my God. I'm so happy to actually be back. And, it's about to get tense today, everybody, because we have somebody finally in the loft with us, but you know who's also here with us? My beautiful co-host, Valerie Malesio. What's up, Valerie?
Hey, how's everybody doing? We're excited to be here for another episode of the show.
Yes.
Locally, I have to comment, winter has arrived. It is cold outside.
Man,
locally.
It is freezing.
Oh my goodness.
It is freezing.
Cold.
Yes.
So, Monday was like, almost 70 degrees. It was crazy.
Right?
It was like a beautiful day.
Yeah.
And today it's very, very cold. But nonetheless, we are, already approaching December. So I guess we can't complain too much.
I just want to say to Mother Nature, thank you. Mother Nature, you have done some crazy things with bipolar here in Chicago. And I really love it, but one of the things about, what you did for us, you gave us hope saying that, hey, we can still make it warm and nice and warm in Chicago, a 70-degree weather on a Monday. Even yesterday on Tuesday here in Chicago was super nice. I couldn't believe I had a suit on and I put on another jacket thinking it was cold outside, and I went outside and started sweating beads. So
it was nice.
It was
the weekend too.
Yeah.
It was pretty nice, throughout the weekend.
Yeah, it was nice.
Even throughout, the holidays. We had, our Indigenous Day on Friday.
Yes.
Day of Thanks on Thursday.
Yes.
So everybody got to spend time, with their loved ones and families and enjoy some of the farewell warm weather because I have a feeling the cold's about to kick in a little bit more intensely in the coming days. So that's how it is locally. Did you have a good holiday?
It was good. Yeah. Thanksgiving was awesome, man. Thanksgiving was really good. My mom and family ate my food, which is good. So
we actually celebrated twice. We had one family dinner on Thursday and then another one on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
With another group of family. So
okay, that's good. That's awesome, man.
That's good.
Yeah, you got double the feelings. Yeah,
I actually made two turkeys. I made one Thursday. I made one on Sunday.
Oh, you made the turkey?
I always make the turkey.
Got it.
So
nice. Well, we hope that you guys.
Thing,
I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving as well too.
Love to hear about it.
Yeah, if you did, let us know in the comments. Hey, so we're going to actually get to our breaking news real quick. We're going to hit that breaking news video. But everybody, the breaking news, the breaking news video. I just said that right?
Yes,
okay, I did say that, right? Okay. All right, everybody, here we go. All right, so we have the Men's Health Awareness Month, everybody. Yes, this is the last day for the Men's Health Awareness Month, everyone. And, one of the good things about, being healthy is being able to work out, to be able to look like a Spartan, right? But also to be able to go to the doctor, everybody. So to be able to go to the doctor and, make sure that everything checks out so well from a men's standpoint.
I'm glad that you kind of brought this to light this month for men's health because I feel like with all the things that go on in November, I feel like that isn't always one of the highlighted items all the time. Yes. And it's very important.
It is.
Men's health is very important. So I'm glad you brought it to light. Men, go get yourself checked out.
That's right.
Nice and healthy so that you can enjoy more turkeys throughout the year.
Yes. So, we're going to have our, this is going to be a last day as far as, of course, for Men's Health Awareness Month. So we're going to actually keep that nice little logo up to the top there to make sure it's going to be playing throughout the whole show because we want to let you guys know that, us men, of course, with people that have diabetes and, going through prostate cancer and things that, men actually go through that, this month,
and
of course, and mental health. Oh, well, mental health is always the biggest key. We talk about that a lot on the show as well, too. So,
Keep yourself healthy.
I just have to say, stay strong, right? That's what I really want to say. I want to say something else, but stay strong, Spartans. Stay strong. All right. So, I have this gentleman here, that's with us today. I got to introduce him because, there's a lot that's about to go on, everybody. And I have to say a lot. I'm very happy, to actually have this gentleman here. And big shout out to my man, Justin Sawyer, all for us. Justin Sawyer, thank you so much. And also, this gentleman here has been in the industry for over 21 years. He has been working on many cases, and he's actually been helping the community as well as helping him get better over time. But I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. I want you guys to look in your law book or whatever you have, read a little bit of law, go to Chicago Heat. If you're looking at the TV crime scenes right now, make sure you stop what you're doing because my man, Aaron Goldstein is in the house, baby.
Everybody just ran and got like the FBI tape.
Yes. All right, let's bring him on. All right, there we go. Hey, Aaron, how you doing, sir? You're we're happy to actually have you here today. It's an awesome time. I know we're going to have an awesome time with you, but I heard so many great things about you. So we want to get right into it.
Where to begin?
They're not. All right. So, when it comes to, being an attorney, you just don't wake up out of the bed and say, hey, I want to be an attorney.
Or do you?
Well, based off of how many movies you watch or, how many shows you actually watch. So if you can tell us in regards to how you became that attorney and what inspired you to become that.
Yeah, I'm not really much of a religious guy, but there's a biblical quote, Deuteronomy 16:20, justice thou shalt pursue. And that's what I've always wanted to do is do justice, is fight for what's right. Mm-hmm. And the question is, well, how do you do that? You could do it in a lot of different ways. You could do it in a lot of different professions. Yeah. I chose to do it through the law.
All right.
And it's really about fighting for the underdog. Most of my career has been criminal defense, and that's the underdog story.
Yeah.
You're up against the state. You're up against the government that's infinitely resourced. The public is against you. The individual you're standing next to, the whole community, society hates, and you are fighting on behalf of that individual, just one person you're standing next to.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I love how you said that. It's a beautiful quote, and I love how that inspired you. You mentioned a key word with justice, that you really wanted to pursue justice, and there's a couple different ways to do that. Did you feel out the gate like becoming a lawyer was exactly what you thought it was going to be, or did you have, what were your, I know there's some preconceived notion of what happens in a courtroom. Did it live up to the expectation? Do you feel like you're, that justice is being served?
Well, definitely justice isn't being served in the total scheme of things. And if you just look at the numbers and you just look at who's being arrested, who's going through the criminal justice system, it's poor, black, and brown.
Yeah.
And that's not, unless you want to take a racist view that somehow those are the individuals that are committing the crimes, which isn't true.
Correct.
Something's wrong.
Right.
So I've been unable to punch a hole in that. But on the individual sense, representing people who are facing life in prison or facing several years in prison or facing their kids from being taken away, to be able to help those individuals,
right.
You got to take it piece by piece and be satisfied, at least to a certain degree, that I've represented those individuals to the fullest and that a result that is good came out of it.
I love that.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, when you're in courtrooms, it's not about, right and wrong, guilty and innocent. It's about who can be represented well. And am I correct in saying that?
I mean, you come to me and say, will you represent me on a case? You don't want to hear that justice stuff. Right? You want to say, can you get me off these charges?
Right.
So it becomes a very practical sense on the one-on-one. They want to know, how can I make the situation better for me? How can you prevent me from going to prison? How can you prevent me from having a felony conviction? Those are the things they're really looking at.
Right.
It's not that they don't believe in the system, fighting the system, but they really, need to get back to their family. They need to get back to their job. So that's really what's most important, just on the one-on-one. And then there are cases, like the protest cases, there are people that say, look, I'm ready to risk my life to fight the system. I mean, you think of the people like Martin Luther King, like he protested, he wanted to be arrested because that highlighted what he was trying to do. So in many ways, your representation is different when you're talking about someone like that who you're representing, but most of the people, they want a result. And the result is keep me out of jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
When we think about, before we really get into nitty gritty, but when it comes to you as far as serving justice, as far as for people, and for crime, so is it always just criminal, as far as, or is it also, there's also attorneys that actually says, hey, if this person goes to jail, what happens with the kids, right? Are you also involved in that aspects of things as far as when you're fighting for that case itself?
Well, in terms of the individual case, when an individual comes to me and says they need representation on a criminal case, for the most part, that's what I'm handling.
Okay.
It's a criminal case.
Okay.
But in terms of my practice, most of it is criminal, but I've handled a lot of DCFS cases, so
Okay.
when individuals have DCFS removing their children.
Yeah.
I've represented people on that. On civil rights cases, I've done a little bit of that. So when someone's civil rights have been violated by the police, I've represented them on lawsuits to sue the police. So it is sort of a wide ranging of things I've done, but mostly it's the criminal defense.
Got it.
I'm going to go to one of my questions I was thinking about when we knew we were having you on. What do you feel, because you've had experience in the private practice sector and now you are in the public defender's office, what do you feel is like the biggest difference that you see with your clientele, or dealing, even maybe not with the actual clientele, your people you're defending, maybe it's the way the courtrooms view you. What do you feel like is the biggest difference between those two different practices?
A lot of it is the mythology. So the mythology is if you have a public defender, you have a bad attorney. You have an individual who doesn't know what they're doing. They don't even think sometimes that they're actual attorneys.
Right.
So there's that. But in the end, you're the same attorney.
Mm-hmm.
You're the same person representing, when I was in private practice, representing that person versus as a public defender. In terms of treatment, that's really where there's a lot of difference.
Mm-hmm.
So when people were paying me to represent them, there was more trust. I think there was a thought, well, I'm paying for this individual, so therefore I'm getting a better product.
Or he's going to work to the best of his abilities.
Correct. Whereas in public defense, it's an arranged marriage.
Right.
The judge says, you now have this attorney. and the individual who's charged is like, well, I don't know this person.
Right.
I don't want this marriage to, I don't want this person representing me. So right away, it's a tense relationship. It can be overcome. And again, mythology is that you have a bad attorney when you have a public defender. But the reality is, we care just as much. And for the most part, the most experienced attorneys, particularly in Chicago, are public defenders.
I love that. And you are absolutely right. I can think back to any time that I've dealt with individuals or anybody that had to go to court and deal with cases, and you do kind of get like that. Oh, you're getting a public defender, and you're like, it's a dice roll. You don't know what you're getting. Hopefully, you get a good one. So that narrative is kind of there, and it's nice to hear a little bit more of that side of the fence and saying, hey, we're not there just to push numbers through. We actually do care about the case and care about you as an individual and your life.
And the reality is like, look, it's a dice roll when you hire an attorney.
That is very, very true.
If you want to hire an attorney for a car crash case or something happened, with a contract or a criminal case, how do you know that attorney is going to be really good? You really don't. You're taking it on faith, and in many ways you're doing it with the public defender. So the reality is, in public defense, you're going to find a lot of bad attorneys. It's just the reality, but you're going to find a lot of great attorneys. Vice versa. In private practice, you're going to find good and bad. It's a little bit of luck. It's a little bit of doing the right research and understanding what the principles are. So oh, I want someone that I can afford. Well, you paying a little amount of money for a big case. How important is your freedom?
And it's understanding, as you mentioned, kind of the rules around that, because I can tell you that I was actually in a situation with somebody who was at court, and they paid for an attorney, and they didn't show up. And we were like, oh, okay, so we're just kind of, well, what's going to happen to us now? And the judge called that attorney and made him come to court.
Yeah.
Because exchange of funds means it's a binding agreement.
Absolutely.
You have to go to court.
Right.
We didn't know that. We were young,
And there's an ethical responsibility. Yeah. I can't take money from you and then not show.
And this is a true story. So
but here's an interesting thing from that is, what's the mythology? What's the reputation of private attorneys? They don't say, well, I had a private attorney. They never showed up. Like, that's not what the stereotype is. They say you got to pay to get yourself a good attorney.
Right.
But a public defender screws you, so to speak.
Right.
And all public defenders are terrible.
Right.
It's weird. Like, no one. I've had, as a public defender, I've had clients who've gone through 2 or 3 private attorneys. They took their money. They did nothing. I come in and win the case.
Are you allowed to do that? Like, can you do private, or you can only get assigned cases? Or, like, if I came to you, could you represent me as well, even though you're a public defender?
Not as a criminal attorney. So, like, some people have side practice, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're closing on the house. That's not what I do, but like you could do things
like, oh no, I don't do that. Not me.
Like law Uber, so to speak.
Law Uber, I love it. That's interesting. See, that's something I didn't know either. That's another great fact.
But I mean, that is a big thing, because the public defenders are paid by the state. They're paid by the government. And that is sort of, when I get clients, they say, oh, you're paid by the state. So therefore they think, well, there's a conflict of interest because the same people who are paying me are paying the prosecutor, which isn't exactly true. But I understand that concern. But since I'm getting paid by the county in this context, I can't then on the side take money from someone for doing the same job.
Okay. So that is a conflict of interest.
Completely.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be really like crazy as a side job. I would think like, man, if you was running
if you're
on
good,
hustle,
you're good.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Well, if Aaron is that Aaron, if he's that good,
I would show up.
Minimum standards.
Right. So, Aaron, when it comes to you being an attorney, right? 21 years is a long time.
Yeah,
right?
don't remind me.
It's definitely a long time in regards to getting what school did you go to as far as to study?
For law school, I went to University of Iowa.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. So what is that? Was it 4 years or how long does it?
So undergrad's 4 years and then law school's 3 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I went straight through. So that was 7 years of study, and then you got to study and take the bar exam in the particular state that obviously, and we're in Illinois.
Did you intern as well too? Did you do any internships?
During law school, I did. I interned for the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless and the Legal Aid Foundation of Chicago.
Nice.
The Bar Association does like some sort of support too, don't they, for attorneys?
They do support. They also do sort of a mirror of the public defender. So you could get a bar attorney.
Yeah.
And those are people that are appointed as well, but they're not part of the public defender's office.
Okay.
That happens a lot in DCFS type cases, but it also happens in criminal cases that you can get a bar attorney as well.
Like that. You'd be like, Kim Kardashian did some sort of fast track to be an attorney. Didn't she do like
And she didn't pass, I don't believe. No, she didn't. Her daddy wasn't the best attorney either, but that's a different story.
Well, OJ begs to differ on that one.
Point of fact, Robert Kardashian was out of that case. He was the one who read OJ's basically his confession letter when he was in the chase in the Bronco. And then you watch that trial again, you don't see Robert Kardashian anywhere.
At all.
They got the big guns. They didn't get Robert Kardashian.
That was his wife telling him to get out that courtroom. I've seen her interviews. She was not in favor of him being involved in that case.
Yeah, no, I think it broke the relationship in many ways, yeah.
But But that's interesting that I did used to like watch the clips about her going some sort of a fast track program to being a lawyer.
Yes, and I think they have sort of an apprenticeship program in California where you could skip law school and become an attorney. I mean, look, everyone thinks they could be an attorney. Everyone watches all these TV shows and they think they know what they're doing. And it's not that sophisticated, but, I mean, it's a little insulting.
Is it like Law and Order? Is it like...
No. What frustrates me...
The ones I have seen haven't been, but maybe I'm missing out on something.
I mean, first, it's an hour-long show, right, with commercials, so you can't see a whole case in 40 minutes.
Right.
Really. But what is very established...
Or can you?
Well, some cases, I guess, can't happen that way. But if you look at it, like, Law and Order was basically made to be pro-cop and be pro-law enforcement.
Right.
So it's slanted in that regard. What makes me so frustrated when I watch Law and Order is you get the defendants, they go in, the cops bring them in, and then they get a lawyer. Like, okay, good, that was a smart move. The lawyer comes in and they're confessing. I was like, what lawyer have you brought in? Like, there's a very simple thing. If I could give you all advice in the public out there, the police arrest you, shut up. Don't say anything. Right. Don't say a word.
Yeah.
You think you can talk yourself out of it. You think you can't. Even if you're 100% innocent.
I've always just waited for that surprise witness to just walk in the courtroom and be like, the surprise witness.
Yeah.
I have you on camera. I have your confession.
That doesn't happen either.
Anytime I ever been in a courtroom, I've never saw that.
But just keep your mouth shut, and if anyone should know that, it's a lawyer.
Right.
But like almost every Law and Order is the lawyer walks in and says he didn't do it, and they feel all proud, and next thing you know, he's confessing. Like, get your money back.
Right.
As it's so crazy because when you look at like true crimes or you look at like Law and Order and you start looking at even Criminal Minds, when they had Criminal Minds, they had certain lawyers that
or The
come
Good
in.
Wife, that was good.
I think you're right on point when it says, "Hey, let me talk, you don't talk," because I think that's kind of a psychiatric skill to actually have, because you have to be able to tell your client not to say so much. As far as with you going through certain cases, and of course you don't have to tell us all of them, but with most cases,
do tell. I would love to hear about it. Do tell.
With most cases that you actually have, how is patience with you when it comes to you and your clients?
Yeah, that's a real tough one. I mean, patience is really important, particularly for the client. So a lot of the people we represent, particularly on serious cases, they're in jail. So if you're sitting in jail, I couldn't spend a day in jail.
Yeah.
And you have people spending months, sometimes years in jail before they even go to trial.
Right.
So if they're facing, let's say, a murder charge with a gun, that's 45 years on the bottom. And people say, well, I want my trial. I want to get going. And I completely understand that.
Sure.
The problem, though, is what I always tell all my clients: a fast disposition, a fast ending, isn't necessarily a good one. So we can work this case up, get all the discovery, get all the information, and make sure we put on the best show possible, or we could get this done quick.
Yeah.
Because good news is, if you want it quick, okay, we got your trial done within a year. Bad news is you lost. Now you're in prison for the rest of your life. So,
There's a
so
mistake. Yeah. I mean,
So, but on the other hand, I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Like, again, I couldn't spend a day in jail.
Right.
That's a rough
I love
place.
to hear you say that, because a lot of times people don't realize, oh, they're in jail. Again, you don't know this person. First of all, I don't think, jail's not a fun place only for anybody.
Right.
They're in there, fighting a case. We don't know that they're a criminal. We don't know that they did that. And I think people lose sight of that. They assume that if you're in jail, you're guilty.
Right.
And we don't know that. That's why we have a court system. So I love to hear you empathize with the fact that they're waiting to hear from you. Because I feel like a lot of times that people lose sight of that.
It's a completely horrible position to be in. But to your point about patience, like, I have to press patience with the client. Like, look, I'm sorry, it may not go fast, but we got to do everything we can because I'm looking at the future. Let's say you're not even facing a long time in prison or even any time in prison. A felony conviction is the scarlet letter on your life. Good luck getting a job. Yep. Good luck going to school. Good luck getting a home loan. Yep. You know, a Section 8 voucher. Like, it's almost prison. Yep. So do we want a good resolution to this case? And I'm not saying just because you wait, you'll get a good resolution. But you don't want your attorney and you don't want the system rushed if they're not ready. Yeah. And some of that is like, look, the system's overwhelmed. Sure. People are getting arrested left and right. But sometimes that could be a good thing because not only is the public defender or the defense attorney overwhelmed because they've got a lot of cases, the prosecutor's overwhelmed too. Yeah. So they're not 100% prepared. They're just handed a case. Yeah. And so sometimes you got to let these things work themselves out, and that's where patience really comes in.
I think, you know, when you say those different like tiers, because there's also witnesses that's also involved that you have to talk to and have patience with, because the witnesses might be a family member that's actually feeling like, oh, get my baby out of jail, or get my friend out of jail, or you got people that's protesting, and you're kind of like in the middle of all of that, of trying to make sure that your patience, of course, is like at a certain level. And sometimes people take that a different way. They think they might think, oh, he just doesn't care, right? Or it's just say, why is he just so calm? You know, I want him to actually be the same way we are to make sure he's fighting for, you know, my family member or my friend to get out of jail. Yeah. Right, the sense of urgency, of course. And you know, now we know, you know, because patience is definitely a virtue when it comes to something like that. When it comes to, you know, you practice as a public defender itself, you know, I have to tell you, because in IT, you know, sometimes we have a bad rep as network engineers, and we're like, hey, they can never fix our problem, right? And you have this negativity piece behind it. As a public defender, how do you overcome the negativity of people thinking that it's not worth it to be a public defender, to be able to help my friend or my family member to, you know, win a case?
Well, you better have some thick skin if you want to be a public defender. Yeah. Because a lot of the clients don't think you're a real lawyer. The judge craps on you. The prosecutor doesn't think you anything. And all of society and everywhere on the TV screen, oh, I'll give you the public defender. Now your case is over. So you got to overcome that mythology and have a thick skin. Yeah. You know, it's interesting because, again, I keep using the word mythology, but it's so true. The one lesson I gave everyone is shut up, right? Yep. When the cops come, shut up. The other thing is, don't be fooled. I won't even say the word shyster, but don't be fooled by the one that talks a good game. Yeah. Because really, a lot of the law is not all about making the best argument in front of a jury. That's important. It's maneuvering through it. Yeah. I've had clients, they look at the shiny object, the private attorney, because they got to get paid from the client. So it could be just a simple little thing where you could get what you want if you just nice and talk to the prosecutor correctly. Yes. No, they want to get paid. So what do? They go in front of the judge, they yell and they scream and they talk, and the whole family's like, yeah, get him, right? But you haven't done anything. Right. I mean, yeah, there's like cases, we've got cases dismissed or we've won cases, and clients come up to me, it's like, you didn't do anything. Right. Do you just see what I got for you?
You're out of order. You're out of order.
But they want the fight. Yeah. Right. You know, they want someone to yell and scream and
TV. That's
theatrics.
The TV piece, right? The theatrics,
I just got you your freedom. Yeah. What do you care if I did it just saying nothing?
Right.
It's about results. But again, I think people sort of follow that shiny object. Right. And they think that's what TV is. That's how it goes. And one of the problems with TV, you asked like, well, what's the difference between TV and reality? In many ways, there isn't. It's like completely different. Yeah. But in another way, TV has influenced law. Yeah. So law is understanding, like the jurors they're all watching TV. So they're expecting a case to be like that.
Yeah.
So now I got to deliver like a TV
Yeah.
actor.
Oh my goodness.
You know, so like it's the dog, you know, the tail wagging the dog.
Yeah. Because the jury's like, I'm just bored.
Exactly. Exactly. So you better say something in the first 30 seconds.
Right.
Because that's about all we got.
We need to get you in one of those TV series so you can really tell it like it is. I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it.
Laugh, but like, wow, that's our court system. You know,
It's
what I mean?
completely. You think you're getting to the truth. You think you're getting to justice.
Yeah.
You're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so we got to take a quick commercial break. We got to pay some bills.
Yeah.
Everybody, you already know my man Aaron Goldstein is in the house, everybody. All right, everybody, we're going to go to a commercial break. We'll be right back, 30 seconds.
Cars will break down, and when they do, it's too late. If your car is out of warranty, it leaves you with two choices. Get stuck paying for expensive repairs, or one phone call to CarShield. Their administrators pay for your covered repairs so you don't have to. Your coverage includes roadside assistance, towing, rental, and so much more. Plus, with their nationwide network, you choose the mechanic or dealer. Best of all, there's coverage for every wallet size. Make the smart call before it's too late. Call CarShield today.
Surging as COVID mortgage bailouts.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. All right. You having fun so far?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm having a good time, too. Thank you guys so much, man. Thank you guys so much for actually tuning in. You already know we have my man, Aaron Goldstein, the attorney, here with us. And we got more to talk about. We got a lot more to talk about. Now, when it comes to, you know, now I got Law and Order in my head.
Yeah.
Now. I don't know. I got to get this out of my head. You know, when you were working with, so you have worked with Illinois Governor, former, Rod Blagojevich, and also Chicago Alderman and Cook County Commissioner William Beavers. What was that like to be able to, because of course, when Rod actually went to prison, to jail, that was kind of that big story during that time, you know, when he actually went. Were you in that realm of, you know, when he actually went to jail, or was this way before, you know, he actually went to?
Yeah, so I represented him on both trials. The first trial ended up in a hung jury.
Okay.
And then they retried him again, and I tried that case as well.
Okay.
And then he was found guilty on not every single count, but most of the counts, and then was sentenced to prison, and I flew with him to Colorado. So I was there from the beginning of the trial all the way to the end.
Oh, wow, man. All right.
I didn't watch the trial, so I really don't know all the ins and outs.
Oh, you
Sure.
missed it. You missed it.
Yeah.
But I will. Is it on Netflix?
It actually is.
Is it?
I mean, like there's like, what was it? Trial by Media. That's a Netflix show. It's not the actual trial, but you hear like the documentaries about it. Yeah.
I'm gonna look for that. But I like that as an attorney, you kind of went that extra 9 for your client. You know, you said you flew out to Colorado with him, you know, you went through both trials with him, you know, so I think that's kind of, as a lawyer, that's a little, you know, that's above and beyond. Is that standard, like, for lawyers? Am I praising you for nothing?
You're never praising me for nothing.
I just think that's kind of cool, you know, you went through the trials with him, and then you went through the end. You were there.
See, I mean, I have a very basic principle, which is you don't abandon a client.
That's right.
Yes. And, you know, I won't get too much into it, but the first trial, it was a massive team that represented him. I was one of several.
Okay.
I would imagine,
The second trial, when the money burned out, and we saw somewhat the writing on the wall, unfortunately, a lot of people left as attorneys. There wasn't the glory that could be associated with it. And I'm going to sit in this ship even if it's sinking. Because my obligation is to do everything I can to protect my client. And jumping ship in the middle is just not my philosophy. So, you know, that's how I see it.
It would be a bad image for anyone to jump ship when you're already there. Right, unless.
But it happens.
So of course, well, we just said.
But the thing is, the image isn't bad for those people because they got to be the one. I was the one on the case when it hung.
Yep.
I left, he lost. So what's the implication there?
Yeah.
Is that, well, they lost because I left. When that's not the reality, but that's the perception.
I see.
Got it.
Wow. I like the fact that you stayed through it all the way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's my key, right? Because it's like you didn't leave the person hanging, right? And I think that's a concept. That's the
very
humanity, the
dignified.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's the heart of what you love to do, right? And that image portrays on you as well too. Like, oh, my man Aaron stuck it all the way through, right? And even if he did leave close towards the end, he stuck it like 98%. He was there all the way through. And I think that's what happens with, and that's just people in general. When they see something that's failing, they tend to walk away, right?
Right.
And with you as an attorney, you said, no, I'm going to be here for my client, and then go. It sounds like a movie, man. I'm sorry. It sounds.
It does, but there is something to be said about somebody who sticks around from A to Z.
Yeah.
I mean, that you weren't only there for the victories.
Right, exactly.
You served, with your client.
It was a purpose.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, what's the way to sort of know the true friend or the true person?
Yes.
Get yourself in the worst point of your life
Yep.
and
Right.
see who's there
And
then.
see who's
Yes,
around.
sir.
Because a lot of people jump ship,
Yeah.
to use that analogy, and understandably so to a certain degree.
Right.
But that's really, unfortunately, the test we have to go through to determine who's real and who's not so real.
So how was that for you? I mean, did you have a lot of, I would imagine that the media must have swarmed you.
Yeah, I mean,
During this time.
if you see the little twitch, I still a little PTSD from that case. But yeah, I mean, that is one case where I really wish there were cameras in the courtroom. In federal courts, there's no cameras in the
right.
courtroom.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, the media is just giving an image as they perceive it.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Whereas we couldn't really control that narrative. And I'm not saying we were talking to the public, so to speak. We were talking to those 12 jurors.
Yep.
But I think they gave, how should I put it politely, just not a completely accurate version of what was going on in that court. And what was going on in that court was a judge who really had a problem with us,
Wow.
And when you can't ask questions, when you are objected to and the objection is sustained, which means you can't even do what you're asking to do. From the first trial, you couldn't even do the same things you did in the first trial. If the media had sort of portrayed that,
Yeah.
maybe there would have been a little bit of different public perception.
Well, we only get the caricature versions.
Completely.
The drawings.
Of course.
When they put it on TV, the drawings. You remember you never
Channel
noticed that?
9, the channel.
They put the drawings of the people in the courtroom. And sometimes those artists are pretty good, but sometimes not so much.
Yeah,
And they'll say, "And
not
this
all are
person
created
said
equal."
that." Yeah. And this person said that in the courtroom, and they show the picture.
Right.
So have you felt any of kind of the pushback as a result of being involved in that trial in the courtroom today?
Well, not necessarily in the courtroom.
With your name?
I think in life, I've run for political office, and that's constantly the question: how could you represent that person? How could you represent these people?
Yeah.
And that's the constant pushback. And you got to remind them: hey, did you hear this thing called the Constitution, where people have the right to an attorney? They actually, even if they're guilty, they have a right to an advocate, to someone who will fight for them.
Yeah.
That in the public isn't really seen as a right. We were talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
Like everyone's presumed guilty if you're charged.
Right.
And how could you represent the guilty people? Like, how could you do that? I always tell them, try representing an innocent person. That's hard.
Yeah.
Because if you're representing someone whose life is on the line,
And
you know they didn't do it, think of the stress you got to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't.
It's not easy. I mean, their liberty, their freedom is in your hands. So in terms of what's hard to do, represent an innocent person, that's the hard thing.
Well, with guilty people too, it's like, here's the charges,
Yeah.
but they didn't do all this. So then you have a situation where you're like, oh man, you're gonna really make me have to defend this person because you're gonna throw attack on all these other charges that really have nothing to do with what he was.
You're spot on. You're absolutely right. Because not to get all legal on you, but what is the definition of guilty? Because again, the question: how can you represent someone who's guilty? I said, well, what's your definition of guilty? Are you talking morally guilty? Are you talking legally guilty? Are you talking specifically of the charge that they're charged with? So, for example, someone's charged with drug selling. It's called possession of controlled substance with intent to deliver.
Right.
Maybe they're just guilty of possessing, but they weren't selling.
Yeah,
Right.
So what, are they guilty? You know, like, I mean, I guess they're guilty of possession, but they're not guilty of possession with
And there
intent.
was a lot of that too, because they would tack on the intent to sell, even if it was just packaged a certain way.
Completely. And what else do they add? The 1,000 feet within a school or church or that stuff?
Yes.
So like, it's not to sort of blow up, I don't know what truth is, I don't know what reality is, but really when people say guilty, they don't even really know what that means.
You're such a good lawyer.
Yeah. Did I convince you?
Did everybody get all that? Because I'm like,
Objective. So when it comes to stuff like, because dissecting the guilty part is a conscious thing for us. When you hear guilty, you're thinking whatever that person did is guilty of all accounts, right? Whatever that person did, if that person selling drugs or that person had a gun on him, he's guilty on all cases of that. The person could have been a licensed, holder, from a gun itself, but they want to say guilty because they think all of that as a package deal is being guilty. But that also goes into the head of a person that's being charged.
Right.
That as well. Now, there's this is kind of an opinion that I want to get from you. When it comes to someone being found as far as guilty and then they spend 20 years in jail and they wind up finding out that they're not guilty, have you ran into situations like that? And what do you think about that when it comes to the court system or someone that's being charged that and next thing you know, they're not really guilty and they spent all of that time in jail and now they found out that they were the wrong person. They really found the right person.
Yeah, that's the ultimate travesty of justice. When you say they found out, it's basically the public or someone else finding out. Because
right.
Let's face it, the prosecutor many times knows who's guilty and who's not.
Yep.
And a lot of times they're prosecuting people that they know aren't guilty.
Wow.
Not all the time, but sometimes the police. What if they have the wrong individual? They go forward because they're either they're blinded, they got blinders on, or they're convinced that individual did it. Sometimes they don't even think they did do it.
sometimes it's about just closing that case, right?
Absolutely. Move on. I'll call the next one. And there's a view, and this is sort of that moral guilt, is like, well, they probably did crimes before anyway, so
they didn't
who
get
cares?
caught before, so what?
Yeah, it all evens out.
It's terrible. It really is so terrible that people think about that, in terms of somebody's life.
And you can't get that back.
Yeah.
Like if I took 20 years of your life,
I'm
20
done.
to 40.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. I mean, it's me eating cheeseburgers, one of Five Guys, and trying to work that out. Yeah. Now, do they clear all of those, like the history as far as, let's say, they keep being charged as a felon or something like that?
Oh,
Does
like
that go away? Do they?
Yeah.
Nope. You can't get. There's a very small amount of felonies that can be expunged, which basically removed. There's something called sealing, which is a little bit different than expunging. It's just covering it up for certain people that can get it. So like employers wouldn't get something that's sealed, S-E-A-L. But no, pretty much every felony conviction is going to stay on your record forever.
Even if they're innocent?
Oh yeah, they have to be found innocent.
Right, so if they found innocent, let's say they were in jail for 20 years and they were found innocent, and then they let them go. Okay,
well, if they're found innocent in that case, then it's not an expungement situation because now it's an acquittal. Okay. So like an expungement is for people who were found guilty and, you turned your life around, you don't want that background hanging on.
Yeah.
You can potentially get something expunged so like employers aren't seeing your record.
It reminds me of pit bulls and parolees. They actually have, I don't know if you've seen that on this, it's actually Animal Planet, but it's parolees that actually getting a second chance to be able to help with a dog pound, right? Or, shelter as well too, and to be able to get their lives back together as well. But we kind of call it a second chance, right? The second chance. And we kind of hit that on our show as well too in regards to that. But okay, so you answered my question in regards to if they were found innocent, then they won't have any of those charges against them, and that's
They
good.
usually
Okay.
give them some sort of money because
There
of
is-
wrongful, is it wrongful prosecution or whatever? But like your life is, man, pretty much done. I mean, 50 years or 40 years, whatever it was that you spent. It happened not too long ago. There's been a couple of cases because now with the evolution of DNA and,
Right.
and everything, you know, that these people that have been wrongfully convicted,
Right.
sometimes it can be found out now, and that's amazing. At least.
I'm just happy that he's here. All right, everybody, we're going to get back to another commercial break, everybody. Yes, we'll be back
Cars will
in
break down,
30
and when they
seconds.
do-
Thank you guys so much.
Cars will break down, and when they do,
All right,
it's too
we'll
late.
let
If
commercial
your
go
car
right
is
ahead.
Foreclosures are surging as COVID mortgage bailouts expire. You don't have to lose your home. We can help. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, threatened with foreclosure, denied a loan modification, or have been the victim of a predatory loan, the Stop Foreclosure Group can help save your home. Remember, you have rights and we have options. For a no-obligation consultation, call 1-888-245-1532.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Yes, we got my man Aaron Goldstein here. Man, we're at 7:47 already. I mean, I still want you here for another hour, but I know that's not going to happen. You know, there's so much more to talk about when it comes to law. And one of the things about, you know, prosecuting, but also, going through that whole phase, have you ever had a case that you spent years working on, and then you actually won that case? And what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say there's a lot of those cases.
Okay.
Maybe not years of working on, because those cases are few and far between in terms of years and years.
Sure.
Like Blagojevich took years and years, and unfortunately didn't turn out well. But yeah, there's a lot of cases that I won, and I'm really proud of. One case I think of not too long ago. I represented a Muslim woman who was walking down on the bus stop, or actually it was the train station, during July 4th. It was Ramadan. So she was covered in a hijab, she was fasting the whole day, and it was July 4th weekend at the same time. And the cops looked at her and basically said she looked like a terrorist. They went and they tackled her and they charged her with resisting arrest and reckless conduct because of the clothes she was wearing. And this is like at the height of Trump, and all that stuff going on. We took it to trial and we won.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So, when it comes to,
horrible.
I have to say,
That's
it's,
horrible.
that's
They're tackling
hard.
her, but she's resisting arrest.
Yeah, and she was about 100 pounds
Right.
soaking wet. Yeah.
Wow. And when you won that case, what was your feeling like when you won that case for her?
I mean, relieved, because, talk about an innocent person. I mean, not only was she innocent, she wasn't doing anything wrong, but she was completely violated.
Yeah.
She ended up suing, and, hopefully it worked out there. I didn't represent her on the lawsuit, but
Sure.
she deserved,
Yeah.
to be handled. Talking about another lawsuit, I represented an individual during the Occupy Chicago protests and the NATO protests. This was a few years back.
Sure.
And one of my clients was out there just in the crowd protesting, and a bunch of people started running, and a CPD sergeant turned and punched my client right in the face and charged him with aggravated battery.
Wow.
Felony charge. He sat in
He
jail.
aggravated his hand.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Right? Irritation.
It was
right?
irritated.
His nose hit his fist. But
Oh, that's
thankfully,
hard.
there was like news crews all over the place. There
Yes.
happened to be just an amateur photographer sitting right there taking like several clips per second. And it caught the fist right in my client's nose. We had to go to trial and win on that and then sue. So a lot of times, yes, there are a lot of people who are guilty, who are charged with crimes. Don't get that mythology, but there's a lot of people who are innocent. And those are obviously the most fulfilling.
Yeah, that's wow. And I think that's where the justice comes into play. It makes you feel good, right? And of course, you know, being able, and I'm going to make this assumption that you won mostly all your cases, you know, I'm going to keep that there, you know. But I guess when you actually go through the whole court system, have you ever thought about having a private practice? You had a private practice. Have you ever thought about, you know, doing justice for other states as well too? Have you thought about besides Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, I've been throughout like the state, and I've been in the federal system. Yeah, it would be nice. The one problem is that if you're a licensed attorney in Illinois and you want to go to Wisconsin or Texas or something, you gotta then get licensed there.
Right.
That's a lot of work.
Is it?
You know, sometimes if you're a lawyer for long enough, you can get waived in, so it's not as difficult of a process.
Yes.
But man, now you got to go be a lawyer somewhere else.
Yeah.
There's plenty of injustice to handle here.
Sure. I'm sure.
In the federal sense, though, I can go, like federally, I can go to wherever I want in the country because it's one unified system.
Yeah. Have you, I mean, and this kind of goes back to the movies again. I got Law and Order in my head. So when it comes to you and competing against another lawyer itself,
I like how we said that. Competing. It's a competition.
No, well, I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to call it battle, right? In regards to, because it is kind of like it's kind of like a competition, but you know, it's like you're competing in regards to your skills versus someone else's skills and how you maneuver, like you were talking about maneuvering between the two. Have you ever had, and you don't have to say the person's name or her name, his name or her name, have you ever just said, man, I got to go against this person again? And try to fight this, you know, this person out. This
yeah, I mean, certainly there are people that have reputations, and you deal with them. Like, it's not so much. No one scares me.
Yeah,
I'm not fearful of anyone.
Yeah,
but it's like, man, this person's a headache.
Yeah,
like it's just going to be difficult on every issue.
Yeah,
that's really the challenge. But really,
again.
but really, I mean, the takeaway is like. You have to humble yourself.
Yes.
Because I go into these cases, and there are cases where I know I was better than my opponent, and I lost. Because the facts, the law, there's a lot of other factors than your skill as an attorney.
Yes.
Right.
And there's times where I probably got out-tried by my opponent, and I won.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
You know,
yeah.
so it's like again, justice, right?
Yeah.
Like what is justice? It doesn't sort of fit all the time. So you have to sort of know how to maneuver in that. All you can do is the best you can.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, what's most frustrating is when you know you did everything better than your opponent and they still won.
Yeah.
You know,
that's. I can imagine that. I mean, and I can imagine.
What happened?
Right.
What happened?
No, but I think it's like leaving a courtroom knowing that you beat that person and the other person is just looking like, you know, I don't know what they look like now, but once
like
again, the movies,
10 years
right?
on the playground again, like, you didn't beat me, you lost.
Like they you know, they got on their desk like lawyering for dummies,
right.
And I lose to them.
Lawyer
Like,
for
you know, what am I supposed to do there?
The law 101.
Yeah.
What bar did you pass?
If you did.
Even if you did, right? Now, of course, in order to be in the justice system, so when it comes to, of course, having, you know, you passing the bar and things like that, isn't there like assistants? Like they don't have to be part of like, or they didn't have to pass their bar, but
like
they're actually assisting. Yeah, they're assisting the lawyer itself, but they can also talk in favor of their client. Can they do that?
I mean, like a paralegal is someone that, like you said, an assistant. I mean, a lot of times they know the law better than the lawyers, but they can't argue in court, so they're not licensed to do that.
Okay.
But they have a certain amount of skill and experience that they're able to research and write memos and do a lot of things.
Yeah.
In criminal law, you really don't see a lot of paralegals.
Okay.
It's more in the big firm context.
Yeah.
But yeah, in criminal cases, particularly in the private sector, you're out on your own.
Do you ever see people that want to represent themselves?
Oh yeah. You know, the old phrase is, the person that represents themselves as a fool for a client.
Yeah, right.
You know,
That case that's on TV right now, that guy was trying to represent
Yeah.
himself, wasn't he? The one that drove, was he the one that drove the car?
In Wisconsin,
yeah,
right?
Wisconsin.
It rarely ends well. Where I will say, like in a case like that, that's a loser case, right? No one's winning that case.
Yeah.
So maybe you just, maybe you can be sympathetic as just a, sort of be very humble and say, look, I don't know what the law is. I'm just poor old me.
Yeah.
No one represents me, and maybe the jury will feel sympathy for you. But when you're like killing people, or accused of killing people, like the jury's not going to have that much sympathy for you.
And that's what's hard, because those people died. He did kill people. So it's not like when you already walk in that courtroom knowing that happened, they're just trying to figure out, why did this happen?
Right.
What made him do this?
Yeah.
And then he decides to represent himself. I did catch that part. I was like, really?
There is, some people legitimately, like, they're frustrated with whoever their attorney is, and it's understandable.
Yeah.
But there's a certain group of people that want to represent themselves, and they're doing it because they think they can get the discovery, the police reports, because the lawyer isn't allowed to give it to them.
Yeah.
They're trying to sort of game the system a little bit, and some people just aren't mentally well. And they have these delusions that they think they can do this, and it doesn't end well.
Well, maybe these shows aren't helping that situation.
There's that too.
The TV shows, you watch it, and then you end up in the courtroom, you're like, I watch Law and Order. I can do this.
Yeah, exactly.
How hard can it be?
I think that's a psychological thing, and that's where you, as an attorney, is psychiatrists be like, listen, that's not going to work, because you're going to need certain terms. You're going to have to be able to maneuver yourself through. And Cynthia Ballman, thank you so much for checking in. Numo Dan, Cynthia Ballman actually says 711, 711, I should say. I shouldn't say 711 like the store. Law students can work in court under lawyer supervision. And then also, Cynthia says, clients who represent themselves sometimes can get away with a lot more in representing themselves than if they are represented by a lawyer. A judge doesn't want to look biased. That's a good, wow.
Yeah.
That's true. They can get away with a lot, but they don't even know what they're getting away with, because they don't really know the system. They don't know what's helpful and what's not helpful. There are very, very small percentage of cases where it's like, I wouldn't necessarily tell a client this, but I could say, look, I can't do any better than what you're asking me.
Sure.
This is probably not a winnable case.
Yeah.
You want to roll the dice and play the sympathy card and say things that I just can't, as a lawyer, am allowed to say?
Yeah.
Okay, good luck to you.
Yeah.
So as a strategy, maybe you would take a look at that.
In very, very rare circumstances.
Yeah.
Angela Davis, the famous civil rights activist, she represented herself. There's small amount of points in history where that's been successful, but you're really having a tough time. Because think of it, what other profession do you hire someone to speak for you? A doctor is treating you, right? An IT professional is working on your computers or whatever it is.
Right.
This person is standing next to you and speaking on your behalf, and the ego starts to play. Like, wait, they're not saying very good things about me. So you get offended.
I didn't do that.
But sometimes you got to look, if I have a client who's charged with horrible things, I can't say they're Mother Teresa. Right? I got to say, okay, they're not as bad as you think they are.
Right.
And that might get you the victory, but that doesn't sound too good. That's not encouraging to your ego.
Because when you hear about having an attorney or a lawyer, you feel like, of course, that's their profession. That's exactly who needs to represent you, to tell you and give you that direction, right? You got to leave it to that profession itself. And Cynthia, yes, she says those clients are rolling the dice, just like Aaron said. You're right. They are definitely rolling the dice, and hopefully they don't crap out. And a client can ruin their lawyer career. John T for free. Yeah, that is true. Yes, and Cynthia says the defendant represents himself because the client think that there is nothing to lose. That's a psychological thing too.
They feel like I'm going to jail anyway. At least I'm going because I put myself there.
Put myself there.
Yeah, no, I run into a lot of that mentality. I got nothing to lose. What's the, for example, someone's facing, let's say, 6 to 30 years in prison, okay? And you work out a deal, and I said, look, I got you 6 years. Now, that's terrible, right? I mean, most of the time it's 50%, so you got to do 3 years. That's hard.
Yeah.
And they say, well, I got nothing to lose. I'll go to trial. It's like, well, you don't understand the 6 to 30 part.
Right.
And that's the thing. They're comparing it to
15 more years.
Yeah.
You lose.
They're looking at it from 6 to not guilty.
Yeah.
But they don't realize it can get worse. There are moments where the offer, we call it an invitation to a trial.
Sure.
So the offer is so high, like, I do have nothing to lose.
Right.
But that's the thing, these sentencing structures, and the prosecutors know what they're doing.
Yeah.
The real good cases, they don't go to trial because they get resolved. They're like, look, I'm going to lose this case. I'll give you a sweetheart deal.
Yeah.
And everyone moves on. The cases you see going to trial are tough cases because the prosecution knows they have a very good case, and then the defendant is given an offer that they just can't take.
Wow. Yeah, that's deep. Wow. I have to say when it comes to, people trying to represent themselves, I mean, it's no how big it is versus how small it is. Just get an attorney, man. Or get a public defender. I think it's more of you as yourself guiding them to say you need help, right? And
it's not what you know, it's
right.
what you can prove.
It's what you can prove.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
But I'm
That's the
innocent,
key.
Yeah.
It's what you can prove. It's not what you know. And that's got to be real difficult.
Because a lot of times a client will come up to me and say, look, this is all that happened. I didn't do it, blah, 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 blah. And we want that.
Yeah.
But I'll take a look at the police report and say, look, I don't care whether you did it or not. I think we can win.
Right.
So you're looking at it from a different perspective. My goal, really, and every attorney's goal, should be to win.
Right.
And you may have a great story, and that's wonderful, and that we may need to use that story, but we may not. Yeah. So let's just focus on the victory.
Such a lawyer. Yeah, that's cool and all, but this is what we're doing.
Well, you have to put your foot down, because next thing you know, you still got to have patience, basically in regards to what they're going to tell you next.
Exactly.
Right? So you still have to be careful. I mean, you have to put your foot down, because you want to make sure that you at least having them understand what road that they're going down.
Completely.
Yeah.
And communication is crucial.
Do you want to be righteous or do you want to win?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's like...
And we could do the righteous thing.
Right.
I'm all for the righteous thing, but a lot of times that isn't what people want. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, you're not guilty. You're innocent. Okay? Let's go to trial. You're facing the 30 years. They just offered you on a reducer 1 year, you'd be out right now. Yeah. Okay, you want to be righteous? I'll do righteous. I'm not the one walking to jail, right? I walk out the front door, you walk out the back door. So, and I don't mean it to be rude to the client. It's just like, look, let's just establish what reality is.
Yes.
If you're for righteousness and you didn't do it, and there's no deal you will ever take, let's go down that path. I'll fight for you as hard as I can.
Yes.
But don't tell me like that somehow 30 years is no big deal.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because now with this whole, and we're not going to dive into this too deep, but now this whole change of the law in the beginning of the year about no bonds and all that stuff. I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh my God, we're letting criminals out. But what they fail to understand is that that's a money thing. Completely. And a lot of times innocent people are sitting in jail because they just don't have money to get out.
Completely. And forget it, innocent or not innocent.
Right.
They haven't been acquitted or proven anything.
Right. It's still just, we don't know what way to go. And so the information you're providing, a lot of people don't get that. It's not about whether, if you're facing a case or charges, it's the way the system is set up now. It's not whether or not you did it. And we need to figure out a way to change that somehow, but to get better with it, because it's what you can prove, and you said it right there. You didn't do this. They're offering you a year. Take the year, because they could turn around and give you 30. For whatever reason, you're in this situation. I don't want to see this happen to you, but this is what we're dealing with, and that's what needs to change somehow. You know what I mean? Lawyers are always in a position. The good lawyers trying to just find the best solution for you for that situation.
Yeah.
It can't be easy.
And people, they're lying to you, okay? This whole idea of the purge and on January 1st, like criminals are going to be running the streets, it's just such a lie.
Come on.
Right.
It's just very simple.
Yeah.
If you're poor and you're charged with stealing a Snickers bar and you can't afford the $100 to get out of jail, that's not safety. That's not fairness.
You're sitting in there.
Yeah, you're just saying, look, we're going to make sure people who can't afford a bond should be released.
Right.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You know, we got to end the show because it's already 8:06 in Chicago time, Central time. But I have this for you because you're awesome, man. You're the bomb. I have to tell you. I mean, you, as far as the cases that you put together, but also, you know, the one with, of course, working with Rock Blagojevich as well, and also William Beavers. I have to say that overall, your passion for your clients, for your customer, shows here. You know, it shows us. And one of the things is that we know that we have an attorney too. So,
I will take your card. Right.
I got his number and email and all that great stuff. No, but it's been a pleasure. This shirt represents, as far as you being a gem of the world. We say gem of Chicago, but we say gem of the world because you're helping people. You're bringing justice to people's eyes, and you're very passionate. And I have to say, you're patient. So welcome to the family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's right, baby. My man, Aaron Goldstein. Man, so thank you so much for being on the show. It was a pleasure having you. We're going to put up your social media. We're going to put up your social media real quick. For people that want to get in contact as far as with them, go to Twitter. Aaron Boy Justice. Make sure you go ahead. How often do you tweet? Do you tweet a lot?
Not that often.
Not that often. Well, catch him when he does tweet, everybody. All right, here's the next one.
I've been looking for the little check mark.
Right. On LinkedIn, everybody, attorney Aaron Goldstein. So make sure you go ahead and check him out there on LinkedIn. Last but not least, he is on Facebook. Check him out on Aaron Goldstein. Yes, make sure you follow him. Make sure you like what he's doing. Make sure if you add him, just say, hey, I saw you on a Rico no Suave show. I just want to add you because, you know, maybe I might need some advice and things like that. So, man, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today. Everybody put your hands together. Aaron Goldstein, everybody. All right, everybody, we're going to actually show you our social media. So our social media itself is, our first one is www.riconosuaveshow.com. That is where you'll find all of our information. And, of course, we have a brand new website, everybody. So make sure you go there. All right, here's the next one. Our next one is Instagram, Rico No Suave Show. Please go to Rico No Suave Show. If you're on Instagram, make sure you go ahead and follow us there. Here's our next one. We have our Facebook, yes, Rico No Suave Show. You already know we like, and
love.
Make sure you love what she says. All right, everybody, here's the next one. We have our YouTubers. Thank you guys that's on YouTube. Make sure you continue to subscribe to our channel because we bring you nothing but great guests just like Aaron. All right, here's our next one. Last but not least, it's our mixcloud.com/Rico No Suave Show. Yes. Make sure you go ahead and go there. Once we finish going live, it turns into a podcast. And you can actually you can replay this on on any device itself. So mixcloud.com. Mixcloud.
I wish you said Mixcloud.
I wish I was
the Mixcloud is the Mixcloud.
I wish it was
so
the
get
Mixcloud.
on and get your account.
Mixcloud. Hey, put it on the rocks, please. Put it on the rocks. All right, everybody, we got to get out of here, but we want to thank you guys so much for actually being on the show with us today. Coming up next week, we got my man Brent Harvey. Yes, it's all about media awards as far as with him in Hollywood. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys later as we end off the show just like this.